Welcome back, everyone. This is the 8th episode of my Road to Ultra Champion. Now, in this episode, we're going to be taking a look at my game from round 8 at the Aeroflot Open 2025. Now, in the 8th round, I was playing with the white pieces against Arkadiy Gitelson, who is a 2300 rated FIDE master from Russia. Let's hop right into the game. E4, A6. I go d4. Now a6 is kind of going against all the opening principles, because generally you want to develop your pieces, develop the knights, the bishops, kind of fight for the central, for these squares, e4, d4, d5, e5, and kind of bring your king to safety with castling. But a6 doesn't do any of that. I go d4, go c6. I go bishop e2. Now bishop e2 is not the best move really. Bishop d3 would have been better. And kind of getting this bishop no squares to go to. Because generally the bishop in the Carocom was to go to f5, and with the bishop on d3, I don't allow black to do that. So bishop d3 would have been a little bit better, but I go bishop e2, and we kind of transpose into the normal variations of the Caro-Kann. This is the short variation. You go knight d2. This is a simple plan for white with knight b3, a4, a5, kind of getting a clamp in the position. And now he goes f6, not really the best move. Maybe better for him would have been just typical stuff like knight e7, h6, g5, bishop g7, castles, and only then f6, kind of getting the king to safety first, and then only bringing in to the center. But he goes f6, go rook e1, takes, bishop c5, knight b3, bishop a7, knight f4, and e7, I go g4, undermining the defender of the e6 pawn. Goes bishop e3, I take the pawn, goes queen to b8, I go bishop f4. Now, as you can see, this knight on e6 is doing a very great job. It doesn't allow black to castle, it just sits in the position. And as you can see, black's pieces are just kind of very awkward here. All the pieces are kind of passive, but my knight on e6 is very active here. You can take the g7 pawn at any time. He takes on e5. I go knight bd4, bringing the last piece into the game. Queen d6, bishop d3. Now bishop d3, it's not really the best move. Bishop d3 would have been better, kind of to protect this bishop. As you can see, as you will see later in the game, the bishop on g3 would have been a lot better than the bishop on f4. Because in this variation that happened in the game, I would really want to take the bishop with bishop takes c4, but my bishop is hanging. So if my bishop was on g3, I could have taken the knight on the bishop, on e4, and my bishop on f4 would not have been hanging. So yeah, bishop g3 would have been better. But we get this position. He tries to attack with h5. He going to play this nice little maneuver with queen d3, stabilizing the position. Of course, if you take on d3, I take on e5. Now he goes h takes g4. This is a mistake. Better for him would have been queen takes h2 and just swapping all the pieces. Now it may seem that black is just losing a knight here, but there is a thematic tactic with pawn to g6. And now if you can take with the rook, but then I will go king f8, and the knight cannot really go away because the rook is hanging. And if you take with the knight, I will go king f7, and as you can see, the knight on e7 doesn't really have any squares to go to. And black will proceed with rook e8, rook e7, and just we will get an equal endgame. He plays h takes g4. We proceed, we get the last pieces into the game. I grab the pawn on g4, goes g5, trying to create some mess on the board. I go rook e2, kind of preparing king walk to the queen side of the board. Goes g4, I go f4, opening up the position because his king is on f7, kind of stuck. So knight g6, I go rook to e6, he takes on f4, take on g4, queen c1, king f2, and this position is already winning for white, but you still need some kind of final touches to the position. He takes on h3, give a check, takes, king e7, queen e4, king d8, and now only move knight takes c6. And the idea behind it is that if you take b takes c6, I go queen d4 check. And if you go king c8, I'll take on c6 and proceed to checkmate. With queen b6, queen a6, queen b5, rook a6, checkmate. And if you go to c7, I will give a check from g7 and proceed to checkmate too. So he plays king c7, I go queen e5, he goes king c8, queen b8. And here he resigned the game, because if he would go king d7, I would have given checkmate with rook to d6. So yeah, this was the game. Kind of easy, nice win. Really, not really smooth. Not really smooth win, but kind of nice one with this knight c6 move that I found in a time scramble. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode.